Did you guys hear about the astronauts stuck on the International Space Station in orbit? NASA say they will make a decision within 2 weeks as to what to do about the astronauts. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams launched in the first crewed flight of Boeing's Starliner spaceship in June. Problems with the capsule have forced them to stay in orbit ever since then. And NASA say they will make a final decision before the end of the month as to when and how to bring home 2 astronauts who have been stuck in the International Space Station for more than 2 months now. The astronauts were launched in early June on a journey that was meant to last just over 1 week, but several issues were detected as the vehicle travelled to the orbiting outpost, and this forced the pair to stay in space for far longer than expected. NASA officials said that engineers and technical experts are now combing through weeks of data from tests and weighing different options for how to return the astronauts to this planet. And it looks like they're deciding whether to fly Wilmore and Williams back aboard the beleaguered Starliner or to use one of SpaceX Dragon capsules to bring them home instead. NBC reports that if the agency opts to call on SpaceX for the return flight, the astronauts would need to remain in space for the next 6 months. A SpaceX Dragon capsule was scheduled to launch new crew members to the orbiting outpost in September on a mission known as Crew 9. NASA has said it could alter those plans to send up 2 astronauts instead of the originally planned 4, and then use the empty seats to bring the 2 stranded astronauts back home at the end of the Crew 9 mission in February 2025. In that case, this Starliner capsule that the astronauts went up in would need to return to the Earth without a crew. A NASA spokesman said that while no decision has been made yet, the agency will need to settle on a plan soon in order to manage resources at the space station and keep operations in orbit running smoothly. And they said that they are reaching a point where, in that last week in August, we should really be making a call, if not sooner. The Wilmore and Williams launch marked the first ever crewed test flight of Boeing's Starliner capsule. The mission was designed to be a crucial final test before NASA could certify Boeing to make regular flights to and from the International Space Station. But 5 of Starliner's thrusters malfunctioned as the spacecraft was approaching the space station in June, causing delays during the rendezvous and docking process. Helium was also leaking from the capsule's propulsion system during the flight. This is a problem that mission managers knew about before Starliners launched into orbit, but had said was unlikely to affect the mission or the astronauts' safety. Joe Akeba, chief of the astronaut office at NASA's Johnson Space Flight Center in Houston, said that astronauts are trained for contingencies, including mishaps such as these that may keep them in space for longer than expected.
Chelsea, we have you loud and clear. How about us?
Good morning. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We have a really big group on our phone bridge eager to hear all about your mission. Reporters calling in, please go ahead and press *1 at this time to enter our question queue. In the meantime, Butch and Sonny, I'll toss it over to you for some opening remarks.
Okay, well, great, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Welcome aboard the International Space Station first. It's a great place to be, a great place to live, a great place to work. As you can see, the American flag behind us, showing the pride in our nation and what we have been able to do to this point on this mission. I thought I would take a few minutes and talk about the first couple of days of the mission when we were in Starliner. So let's start there. Launch was spectacular. I mean, truly amazing. And then we got into our operational capabilities checks, and the spacecraft performed unbelievably well. We have these things called Hooper-Carper's rating scale, 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. I've never given a 10 in all my flight test year, a 1 in all my flight test years on a Hooper-Carper rating scale for handling qualities, but I was tempted. That's how precise this spacecraft controlled in all aspects of the various tests we did. I won't go into those details of what the tests were, but it was truly amazing the precision that this spacecraft held. And then we got into day 2, the start of day 2. It was the same starting off. And then we did have some failures, as we're all aware. We had lost an RCS jet, and then we lost another one. And then you could tell the thrust, the control, the capability was degraded. The handling qualities were not the same. But thankfully, we had practiced and we had gotten certified for manual control. And so we took over manual control for over an hour on the V-bar, the axis where we actually rendezvous with the space station, and for over an hour while the teams on the ground did their troubleshooting. And we got a couple of jets back, and then from that point on, you could tell that the thrust was degraded. At the time, we didn't know why. Obviously, that since the failures had just happened, you could tell it was degraded, but it was still impressive. Let me give you an example. Coming into docking, those final 10 meters, we have a tolerance when we actually connect with the space station of 5 degrees in attitude and about 4 inches in position. And so Starliner came right down in automatic mode at this point and right down the middle, even with the degraded thrusters, which was truly impressive, knowing what we know now and not knowing what we knew, not knowing it then, but what we know now. Truly impressive that even with degraded thrusters, the capability was there to actually dock that precise. And then, of course, we became Expedition 71 crew members. We're fully certified for all aspects of life aboard the space station here. Whether it's spacewalks or operating the orbit arm or maintenance, which we've done a lot of. That's part of living here. You have to keep that space station going. And over to Sunny for some.